Alright, so I log on to the Game Awards website for the 2022 and see the same 6 games listed in every single category with like one pity nomination thrown in so it doesn't all look like a blatant marketing scam. Especially considering God of War Ragnarok came out less than 2 weeks ago. I don't think that's really long enough to get a proper outlook on a 40 plus hour game with like 7 hours worth of cutscenes. But I digress. I'm currently under the weather. It's raining outside, and in general, I'm just incapable of doing anything productive, so I thought I'd give the dozen of you subscribed to my channel a personal top picks for 2022. Like before, this is stuff I played this year, not necessarily stuff that came out this year. And unlike the Game Awards, I don't have categories, but what I do have is more than 6 games. So let's start this off with Elden Ring. Alright, screw it, I'm leaving that in. I was going to blow out your microphone just like I did mine. What can I say about Elden Ring that hasn't already been said? This game's been talked to death. If you like the From Software titles or are looking for a good entry point, I'd say this is the place. Sure, some of the bosses are tough as nails, but between spirit summons, overpowered builds, and good old-fashioned cheese, Elden Ring kind of lacks the difficulty roadblocks of its predecessors. And that's it. You've already heard of Elden Ring. You're here for the goofy shit I've played. Speaking of, nothing is goofier and more soul-expanding than this point-and-click adventure title. Every line of dialogue carries such an immense weight. Characters' responses enlighten the player to both how they feel about their situation and how they feel about the player, whether he's, a good cop or a piece of shit that they just want to leave them alone. I should state that this game is 110% about navigating dialogue trees with your character's skill set, and there are a myriad of ways to approach any scene. Between the soundtrack, the setting, the people, I often find myself drifting back in my mind to Martinez, back to that somber town on the edge of the gloom. Frankly, it lives rent-free in my mind. It just occasionally pops up like a bad memory. You know the ones, like the time you made that girl cry in kindergarten and you still feel twangs of guilt occasionally, even though that was over 2 decades ago. I consistently find myself thinking back to it and how it is the pinnacle of writing as far as making NPCs have personality and wanting to engage with them. Moving on to The Dark Side Detective. Following Disco Elysium, I was oddly itching for more point-and-click games with heart. Dark Side Detective did not disappoint. It's funny, charming, and imaginative. Best of all, after I completed all the cases in the original, I discovered that there is a sequel. Some of the puzzles can be a bit obtuse, but I rarely found myself doing the age-old point-and-click trick of trying everything on everything. And to top off the fact that the game is just good, it's got a soundtrack by Ben Prunty. You know, the guy that did the FTL soundtrack. In addition, I sent an email to the developers just like a quick, hey man, I really liked your game. And they wrote back. So, that's worth bonus points for attentiveness to the community. If you're in need of some gateway horror where the setting is spooky but the story is silly, I really can't recommend these 2 titles enough. They're like $5 a piece too, so just do it. If you want. Like, if this just looks like your jam, go for it. Alright, I can already read some of the future comments, and you're saying, like, what is this? Last video he was recommending base management and deck building games. What's this point-and-click casual trash? To which I say, calm down, straw man who I invented in my head. I'll admit I spiraled into a bit of a point-and-click puzzle fest, but eventually I came out on the other side. Besides, RimWorld had a DLC this year, and Slay the Spire got a fan-made expansion, so check those out if you liked those games from the other video. Frankly, I've got some weaknesses. Coffee, women that are like my coffee, and my friends. My friends can ask me to hop on Discord and I'll play any dumb piece of crap game they throw at me, at least one time. And while the lads and I have tackled a cornucopia of multiplayer madness, 2 games have stood at the top of the pile. We got Risk of Rain 2. This gem came out in 2020, and since then we've put in damn near 100 hours, which is saying something considering we're all grown adults with careers, school, and some of us even have kids. And just when we were thinking the gameplay loop of explore the planet, find the teleporter, and beat the crap out of the King of the Moon was starting to get a little stale, they release a DLC, shake things up. You got new playable classes, new items, and new game mechanics, as well as an endless wave mode, so you don't even have to explore the planet anymore. You can just sit in a bubble and shoot monsters. So if you're looking for a roguelike game with lots of unlockables and play styles to enjoy with your friends, I'd say you can't go wrong with Risk of Rain 2. Now let's say you don't want to do any of that planet exploring stuff. Risk of Rain 2, oh man, I don't like that third-person shooting mechanics. Then how about a little Gunfire Reborn? As of writing this review, Gunfire has been out of early access for 1 year, and the boys and I have been playing this game on and off for the entirety of that year. We're still trying to conquer the final boss on the hardest difficulty. Gunfire is a roguelike shooter complete with tons of different weapons, classes, a persistent skill tree between runs. The gameplay consists of storming down corridors of dungeons, blowing away the trash mobs until you get to the level's boss. All the while, you're upgrading your build to better your chances. Cherry on top, you can play as a cat, which is the entire selling point of Stray, and that's nominated for like half of the Game Awards this year, so this game is just basically Stray, but better. Now that we're back in real game territory, I gotta say I've had 2 jobs this year, so I haven't had that much time to play games, especially while keeping my tabletop passions alive. But that being said, the games I did play all seem to fit a particular theme of stylized, creepy weirdness. Inscription. It's a Daniel Mullins game. If you don't know who that is, let me just say his games are amazing and leave you with an unsettling feeling of dread, while still being fun. It's a horror game, but at no point are you like hiding under a bed waiting for the scary thing to go away. Nah, he locks you in a room with the scary thing and you're forced to play a card game with it. I can't go into too much detail without spoiling the game, and I refuse to do that because the story is a majority of the game's appeal. It's one of those deals where the gameplay and the story are just seamlessly fused together. Suffice to say, if you're a fan of light deck builders and want to try something new, or just have a horror itch you need scratched, I go for it. I had a great time. It's not even that long. If time is a factor to you, just pick up Inscription. It's good. It's really good. The Brutal Orchestra. Honestly, I don't know where or how I heard of this game. I feel like it came to me in a fever dream. Since I've beaten the game, the developers released 2 substantial free content updates, and aside from the unique aesthetic, Brutal Orchestra has mechanics that feel wholly original. Each character's ability or attacks cost certain colors to do, and you get colors by beating up the enemy whose health bar is the corresponding color. There's a cast of charmingly depressing characters to unlock, smack dabbery of items, and a very colorful and interesting world to explore with deliciously dark humor. I mean, if I had one complaint about the game, it's while I love the soundtrack, it starts to wear on you after you heard the loop 1,000 times during some of the longer battles. Brutal Orchestra, given that it's got less than 1,000 Steam reviews at the time of this recording, is definitely what you would call a hidden gem. And so that's pretty much it for me. That's it. I'm gonna go lie down. Y'all have a great day.